So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff Walczak.
Thank you very much, Ken. We welcome everybody and make sure that the eTruckBiz is not endorsed, sponsored, or anything else by FedEx Corporation. So, right out the gate, Ken, I thought you were going to say something about this, but that's okay. There
Hey,
is a
I never like to steal
special,
your thunder.
oh, there is a special announcement we want to make sure everybody knows. For those, or anyone for that matter, looking for an alternative to being forced to move to ground cloud, we have a better alternative for you. We would like to let you know that we have partnered with a couple of folks here. So with Motive for your VEDR setup, and there's a special deal for eTruckBiz clients. There would be no upfront AI VEDR camera costs if you were to move from anybody for that matter over to Motive as an eTruckBiz client. So that's a big deal. And another big deal is we've partnered with Impact Solutions. And let's say whoever your trainer is, your BC, if they currently have certification someplace else, they can go through the Impact course with no cost for the initial move over. They have to retake the course, but there would be no cost to that. And then you could have your safety certification, train the trainer program through Impact Solutions. Hopefully I said that right, Ken,
I
Bob.
believe you did.
So that's a big deal, very big deal. And not only that, but integrations are being worked on so that we can share the data and whatnot. So this is going to be really good stuff. So hopefully maybe there's some questions at the end. You guys, if you have questions about this, just ask us at the end. Put your questions in the Q&A or the chat or whatever you want to do. And Becca wants to tell us about another super special deal.
Yes, I just wanted to say that we are still offering free strategy sessions currently. What this includes is we will create the standard budget for you using some of your information based off your location, your negotiated contract, and so forth. And then we will create an expense plan based off of the standard operating budget so that we can guide you in the right direction and get you going down that success path. But what also we would like to inform you of is the business support system, which includes the Budget IQ program that is going to be focusing on the financial planning and tracking. We also have the Performance IQ program. This is going to be your operational monitoring and guidance. And then Admin IQ is to eliminate all of those non-revenue producing tasks. We will take care of all of that for you. And any of these programs, they do include our eTruckBiz software as a service that has all of our apps, routing, software that you can imagine. So these three programs consist of the business support system. And if you would like to book a strategy session or want any information about any of these programs, please let me know. Reach out to me, Becca at eTruckBiz.com, or you can also view our website and get some more info on there. But please get a hold of me either way.
Excellent. And by far, it's not even close anymore. If you put all that together, that's for sure the very best package in the space today for service providers. That's a good job. So, as we always do, let's take a look at last week's volume. Yes, look at that. Not only boom, but really big boom there, Ken. That's a huge comeback in both stops and packages.
I know
Way
our customers were definitely seeing it and feeling it and handling it pretty doggone.
Yes, sir. That was on the pickup side. And oh yeah, look at that over there on the delivery side too. So large shippers got in action last week, small shippers, you name it. Everybody started moving stuff last week. That's good. And as far as I can tell, and as far as folks are seeing, it's starting to still happening this week as well. Now, the productivity, routes dispatched, ouch, but look what happened to the productivity line.
Oh, outstanding. 102.2.
That's good. That's excellent. Good move. So we had a little trouble managing the holiday, but then when we came back, we made up for it. That's a good job. Very good job. So in the news, it's not really news, but we want to talk about Network 2.0 progress and some things that are going on here. Network 2.0 is FedEx's biggest operational transformation ever. And as combining express and ground into a unified network is no small task, that's for sure. At this point, very roughly about, and I guess you could argue this, and a lot of people would want to argue it about, but about 20% of the daily FedEx volume now flows through optimized terminals. But the unified network is driving some unexpected, unprecedented changes that service providers must adapt to. We are now able to report what service providers are really dealing with as they make the transition to the new network. So let's talk about some of these things that some of them people knew were going to happen, some of them not so much. So the Network 2.0 transformation, and it really is a transformation of what's going on, represents a complete reimagining of the logistics operation of FedEx. So the biggest impacts are being felt in the route engineering area. And there's actually some really big changes when you go to engineer these routes. Is that not true, Bob and Ken?
Very big engineering, especially when you're getting those 1030s. It completely changes your operation and really forces you to go to the dynamic anchors and the complete dynamic routing. Would you agree, Bob?
Yeah, yes, I would. Yes, I would. And it helps you to put on less routes. You don't have to keep adding routes because of it. But if you got 3 or 4 different routes going by a 1030, where one's got 15, one's got 2, and one's got 3, have somebody else pick that up on the way to their routes. That's what it's there for. If you utilize it the right way, it can. I'm not saying you won't have to put on any extra routes, but it may help to alleviate putting on routes.
So before, go ahead.
And the biggest thing is you won't know if you don't try. That's the biggest thing. Try it out. There's people that I set routes up for them, and I've got dynamic anchors, and they come back and they change a few, and they make it work for them. But if you don't change anything,
then nothing's going to change. That's right. So we talked about route engineering, FRO now, and different things. Oh yeah, that's going to be a big deal, but that's a bigger deal than if you haven't gone through this yet. Get ready, because you're gonna get a rude awakening. Another thing that I think we knew that was coming, but driver leadership and management. And we're going to talk about this in a whole nother slide here, but it appears that most BCs are not ready, willing, or able to make this move to adapt. And we hate to say that, but far be it for me, I'll tell you that's a real challenge, folks. In fact, we've had more, we'll just call it activity in the BC recruiting space than ever before. And it's because of that. You either got a BC that can accept that things are going to have to change or you don't. And then you got to make that decision, right? Another thing that is being impacted is financial planning and monitoring are much more complicated. And we're going to go into that here in a little bit too. But that's something that wasn't really foreseen. Everything will be okay. They'll just pay us the same, or they'll pay us more, or how are they going to pay it? That's really become very complicated now. Anyway, so implementing FedEx's vision will be a multi-year process requiring constant adaptation and creating the environment of uncertainty that we must navigate carefully. Okay, So one of the things we just talked about are profitability concerns. So profitability is an ongoing concern for service providers as they face a number of challenges that are putting pressure on margins. On the shrinking margin side of the house, we're seeing things cause margins shrink, like higher efficiency demand. What's that mean? We'll talk about that here in a little bit. More stops per dispatch. Now, more stops per dispatch overall revenue wise is good, but what that does is it also lowers your revenue per stop. That's one of Ken's favorite things there, but that's an issue for sure. Faster delivery times, and what we mean by that is complications from time definite stops. Those things cost more to perform. They just do. And then everybody's favorite thing, a rise in large packages and ICs. And for those of you on here that think that I've never seen one, guess what? I've seen one or two large packages and ICs before, and all of us have actually. We know what happens when you get too many of those things. And the other thing about that, just so you know, is rumor is that whole thing hasn't really fired up all the way yet. Is that what you heard, Ken?
Yeah, that I was hearing the beginning of August for that to kick in. And when we attended a meeting down in Florida, the director told the CSPs that basically it would increase the network's incompatible volume by 1%. Doesn't sound significant, but of course, if you've got 11% ICs already in your CSA, you're probably going to see more than a 1% increase. It'll be significant. On the positive side, the Network 2.0, the express packages are smaller. While we were down there, we saw utilization of alternative vehicles, and one was a sedan and one was a small SUV, and they both went out with 75 plus stops each day that we were there, and they fit nicely, but they were smaller express stops.
Okay, so look out for some more ICs and large packages. On the capital investment side, on the investment cost side, you might have to be thinking about some possible vehicle upgrades. Good luck finding them, but but that might be something that is in the cards. Now, here's something that I think in the weeks to come, we're going to talk about a whole lot more, but enhanced driver methods training or driver training, driver methods training. It's very apparent that in order to handle all these different kinds of stops and packages and whatnot, the folks are going to have to become more proficient and efficient at handling what's on the trucks.
And that all starts with engineering. And then, as Jeff said, the methods and the dynamic anchors, because you want that driver delivering the truck in the order that the truck is loaded.
It's actually a really big, we tried to say this for the last couple of years, but it is actually a very big deal that they work the truck like they're supposed to. And then, of course, fuel and maintenance costs are going up and that kind of thing. We'll talk about this here in a little bit too. I can move it. Okay, as we said, probably the largest challenge faced by service providers is the disruption or trying to disrupt the current driver culture. Customers, and by default FedEx today, are demanding faster, more precise deliveries, which creates operational challenges for drivers. One key challenge is the loss of driver flexibility. There is a need for stricter adherence to route plans and delivery windows, reducing the autonomy drivers have historically enjoyed. Time-definite deliveries disrupt traditional ground procedures. We've been talking about that for years, and that's exactly what's going on. Optimization of contracted service areas is redefining routes, creating the need for drivers to operate in areas, oh my gosh, that they are unfamiliar with. And just to put this whole thing mildly, drivers don't like what's happening. Would you guys agree with that? You would agree. Good. That's
They
what,
don't, especially if the BC doesn't like it. Then they don't like it.
guess what's next? Driver management challenges, Bob. Driver satisfaction is a major challenge with reduced autonomy, increased workload pressure, and operational complexity negatively impacting morale. Most of the issues fall on the plates of BCs who either can or can't manage it. Very important point there. Those operations that get ahead of changing their driver culture in advance of 2.0 are faring much better than those who fail to do. If you think you could use a BC upgrade, there is no time like the present to do, and that's what Bob's trying to tell you. That's the biggest thing here is if the BC wants to fight change, I guess you got a pretty big problem on your hands, right?
You can't do this without a BC who's committed to the mission driving the bus.
And if you have a BC that you just don't think is going to get it, yes, some of them can change, but is it worth the time, cost, and effort for you to either change the way they already think, or should we just make a BC change? It's a big decision, and we're starting to see a lot of folks saying maybe we just change the face. It's very important, hugely important. You guys have any other comments about that?
The BC affects your business every day, probably 1,000 times a day. If they're moving in the wrong direction, your drivers will move in the wrong direction. And there's a rule out there that 80% of your drivers are waiting to be led. 10% are leading in the right direction, 10% are leading in the wrong direction. Which way will the 80% move? So they'll move in the direction that your BC wants them to move. So I can't stress that enough.
I think this is one of the areas that, looking back a couple, 2, 3 years ago, if we were trying to tell you what was going to happen, yeah, culture, driver culture, but we thought, at least I thought, more BCs would be on the program, but that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing where real leadership is and where it's not.
Hey, and also too, with that, if you think you're not sure where your BC stands, get on your VEDR and watch your drivers live. See what they're doing out there. You know, are the seat belts already buckled? If they are, how's that possible? Why is that? Is it because they're allowed to? Are they being checked every morning and being unbuckled and say, no, you can't do that. We need you to buckle up, be safe, so you get home safely. Safety is a big part, one of the biggest parts of delivering packages. And if your BC's not leading them safely, they are not leading them productively either.
It's a problem. So another challenge service providers are facing is elevated service quality standards from FedEx. As they're getting pickier about certain things by the day. For example, stiffer metrics for picture quality and service requirements are now in place. There are new compliance standards around uniform wear and even package placement protocols that must be followed. These tougher performance standards are being put in place to be consistent with what are called brand expectations of the FedEx brand, which is to ensure a consistently high level of service and quality control across the network. So they're all about protecting the brand. And I think a lot of you probably have a recent story or two out there of why do they care about this now? Why do they care about that scratch in my truck? Why do they care about what color the shorts are like my guys got on or stuff like that? That's becoming a bigger and bigger deal. And here is what we'll call a pro tip. Service providers with a history of poor service quality are being upgraded before the new 2.0 standards are implemented in a given area.
Was that written somewhere recently, Jeff?
I think that maybe sort of was. We're telegraphing to you. If you don't want to let's just say it the way it is. We'll strip it down. If you don't want to play their game, then they're gonna ask you to go home. That's the way it goes. All right. So there are some strategies to take all these things on. So even though it's not without difficulty, the transition to 2.0 has been successfully implemented by most service providers that have faced it. So it's not like everybody and their brothers can't do it. Most people are figuring it out. The three key focus areas that have driven the success are financial planning, where you can use our comprehensive financial budgets and plans. That's what Becca tries to get you to do every week. Sign up for one of these sessions. For Network 2.0, detailed cost analysis and cash flow planning have been critical. Your expense patterns are going to change. They do change and are changing. So if you're not watching that, the next thing you know, where's all my money in my checking account? That's because things have changed and you've spent some money you didn't think you were going to spend. Another area is operational efficiency. Initiatives like route engineering, not necessarily just FRO, doing the FRO at night, but actually engineering your areas. Driver methods, which are going to become much more important here shortly, and that cause productivity improvements, and technology integration have boosted efficiency, along with eliminating non-revenue producing tasks in favor of revenue producing ones. We talk about that almost every week, and hopefully it's starting to sink in. Your time is better spent watching a live VEDR feed from a truck than it is anything else for that matter. You need to know what the folks are doing. That's a revenue producing task, right? Engineering your areas, revenue producing tasks. We can go on and on, but those are the things that's what you should spend time on. Okay. So Network 2.0 represents both challenges and opportunities for your business. Success depends on understanding the specific impacts, developing appropriate strategies, and executing them effectively. Don't go through this transition alone. Professional support and guidance can help you optimize operations, maintain profitability, and build a sustainable business model. Get your free customized operating budget and financial plan to ensure your business remains profitable and competitive in the new FedEx world. Ken, you got any questions out there?
We got one question. Looks like I am wondering, when you talk about running dynamic anchors, is that for express time commitments only, or is it the entire CSA? Meaning the ground volume is moved between routes as the volume adjusts, or does the ground volume stay on the static routes and the 1030 and the 1230 commits move around level of express? You want that one, Bob, or if not,
Yep, I'll take it.
Okay.
Right now, there's no way to move just to 1030s and 1230s. That might be hopefully something in the future where we can do that as well. But no, for the entire CSA, especially if you've got a lot of rural area, and I've seen some where anchors are just huge and they're going from one side to the other when somebody else is close by in the next work area. Have them pick up that stop. For the most part, routes are 80–85% the same. You get 15% or so where you may move north, south, east, or west in a given day. For the most part, it's all the same. In the more rural area, or in the more like in your cities and stuff where the density's there, if you got big business districts, you can use those and make multiple 3, 4, 5 people, make those dynamic, and everyone helps to manage that. Plus, it will help with your bulk as well. Can you get rid of that bulk truck? If you've got one route that bulks out one day and one another day, using dynamic anchor will help level that out. And use
it'll
the
get rid of
min
cleanup
maxes as
routes.
well. Yes, get rid of the cleanup routes. That's what absolutely kills everybody.
Yep. Cleanup routes are killers because they don't make money. And they're a result of drivers not following the way the truck is loaded. And as Bob said, with the dynamic anchors, you're going to be able to move the system will move the bulk around for you. So that's why we're stressing the importance of that. Okay.
Any other questions out there? Yeah.
That looks like that's all of the questions. So this is a process. It starts with having a budget and knowing what you can spend, what your revenue is going to be, how many resources you can utilize based on your contract, and then engineering it properly. And for some reason, if your best engineered plan still doesn't allow you to meet the budgeted dispatches per week, then you can go back and you request a renegotiation. We have a couple of those going on right now, correct, Carrie?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I was muted.
That's all right. Okay, we got a couple comments here. It says secret to overcome 2.0, keep hiring. Absolutely. Stay away from retread drivers from another entity. Golf clap. Drivers leave contractors mostly because the contractor wants them to do something that they don't want to do. And they're going to say, I'm going to get up and walk out of this place. I'm going to go over to the other side of the belt, and they're not going to make me do it. Network 2.0, the driver's eventually going to run out of belts to work on because everybody's going to have to do the 1030s. Everybody's going to have to do the noons. Everybody's going to have to do the same day call-ins. Driver's eventually going to have to deliver that truck the way it's loaded. So they're going to run out of places. When you hire a retread driver from another entity, you've just employed a problem because, believe me, they were a problem with that other contractor. As Jeff always says, let them go mess up somebody else's company, not yours. So great advice there. Keep hiring, keep training. And believe me, the training, nothing will be more important than the training. And if your BC doesn't want to train, once again, you might have the wrong BC. Because if you just give them to another driver who doesn't know the methods because the BC didn't train those methods or doesn't do an observation ride to check those methods or doesn't do a VEDR live look in to look at those methods, guess what? They might be wrong and and the one thing I do know is they will teach the wrong methods. Okay. And here's a admit, it says, I have a problem with my hiring. Don't know if you have any ideas. Absolutely, we have ideas. If you're recruiting all the time, you're opening up that pool. And you want to diversify that pool as well. You don't want to just recruit people that just want to be full-time drivers that have to make $850 a week because that doesn't fit your need during this time period. You want some part-timers. And what's a part-timer mean? Maybe sometimes 5 hours a day, sometimes 8 hours a day, but they don't want to work 5, 6 days a week. They might only want to work 2 days a week. They might want to work 3 days a week. Once again, why? Because I go from recruiting into a pool to recruiting into a lake. There's a lot more fish in a lake. So I think that when you can open up that pool of drivers, how big that is, you will get better candidates. If you only recruit when you're down a driver, guess what? You're going shopping when you're hungry, and you tend to buy a lot of potato chips that aren't good for you when you shop when you're hungry. Okay? So that would be my suggestion. Open up that pool, recruit part-time drivers, recruit full-time drivers. Contingency are taking over the terminal because 2.0 happened and 2 to 3 contractors walked out. They are posting jobs to recruit local drivers with very competitive day. That is absolutely an inherent problem that I don't agree with FedEx allowing that, but they do. All you can do is warn your driver that those jobs are going to eventually go away. because there'll be contracts offered in that terminal that aren't going to earn $5 to $10 a stop more than a normal contract would earn. And when those contracts go away, that driver's not going to have the ability to make the $275 or $350 a day that they're being offered by the contingency contractor. What you're try to warn your drivers about their job stability, because that's going to be that's the good stuff that goes away. If you eat cake for every meal, eventually you're not going to be healthy. You're probably going to end up with diabetes. You want the drivers to understand what's important is the longevity with your company and the steady pay, because like I said, they're not going to be those contingency contractors are going to disappear, as will the offer of $275 to $350 a day. Anything to add to that, Jeff?
No, you're exactly right. They'll be around for a while. Now, some places they've been around for a long time, but they'll be gone. And where will that driver be then? I don't know. Maybe they like going from city to city or something like that. Maybe that's great, but that's a tough problem for sure.
Yeah, like I said, all you can do is continue to stress the stability of your company and recruit, train
Never
them the
stop.
best. Employees that are trained the best they'll want to stick around, because if you're committed to their training, you're committed to them as a person being successful. When your BC throws off that training on another driver, how committed do they think that BC is to their personal success? They're not. Okay. So build your team with people who want to be there. Is it great to make an extra $100 a day for 2 months and then, oh, I can go back to my old employer? Yeah. Okay. You can do that. Eventually, like I said, it dries up, it goes away.
And another thing too, I don't hear many people doing it, but take your people out to the park and cook for them and have a family day where they bring the whole family in. The spouses gets to know you. You're going to be better off in the end, because all of a sudden they're like, no, we just talked to Matt and Matt's helping us out. He's doing a good job. And plus you get to find out something about them, about your drivers. And all of a sudden they're not going to want to let you down, but you can be like, you know, you've got a family to support. I met them. They're a great group that you've got. You're just going to walk away simply because right now you can make an extra $25 a day with this company, where, you know, where you're at now, it's stable and you've got a job in a future and looking to expand. How many people out there looking to expand and do any of your drivers? Is there a path for them other than just a dead end job as a driver? What is the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What's it look like? And let your drivers know, hey, there's more than just being a driver. If that's what you want to do, let me know. But they've got to know that there's more opportunity out there than just being a driver. And some people are fine with that. They like it, the outdoors, and they like working on their own. As long as they're doing it safely, morally, and not breaking the law, great. That works for everybody. But get to know the families too, because that's a big part of what they're doing.
Great question. Great points. I think 10 years ago, Jeff said the biggest challenge in this is labor, and a well-staffed operation that stays staffed will be able to meet the challenges. People who don't recruit all the time and are always hiring after the fact will always be challenged to meet the goals and the expectation that FedEx is going to put out there for you. Looks like that's all the questions and comments. I want to thank everybody for joining us. The volume does seem to be remaining very high. I looked at the numbers from Monday, some of the best productivity numbers on the Monday that I've seen in a long time, so that's good. And normally that means the volume is remaining high. Apparently some of the retailers and the B2C people are shipping to the consumers for their I guess they call it the mid-annual sale or the July sale, Christmas in July. The customers are eating it up and buying, and enjoy this time because July is normally a light month, but it appears that the volume's there. Watch it closely because just as fast as it came back, it can disappear. Look at your trends, plan accordingly, and right size your operations each day to maximize the profitability and the efficiency. Anybody got anything else to add?
No, sir.
All right, we'll be back here next Tuesday. If we don't talk to you before then, please have a safe and profitable week. Thank you very much.